Hello, class. Professor Beasley here. Welcome to week 2 of online learning. I hope that you have all had a good week kind of adjusting to your new schedules. I know that it's a little bit weird still, trying to get used to everything and reading all of your comments on our previous assignment. With the online discussion board, I saw that some of you had some really good suggestions to help with some of the challenges that everyone had. So what we're going to do now is discuss what your next assignment is, which is the pitch proposal. So with this assignment, there's a couple of goals, but there's one overarching goal that you are going to use this assignment leading into your next assignment. So let's get started talking about what a pitch is and what this means for you in your assignment. So a pitch is a topic or a presentation or a written article that drives your audience to a specific action by you using a snapshot of a larger idea. So essentially what your goal is in a pretty short period of time, you're trying to explain a topic to an audience and then get that audience to understand what it is that you are discussing with them, and then hopefully guide them into making some sort of a decision about it. So you might have heard the term elevator pitch that people use to describe maybe research that they're conducting, or that they're describing themselves. That's a term that they use whenever people are trying to describe themselves as well. And so an elevator pitch is a short 1 to 3 minute presentation that would give somebody an idea about what it is that you're trying to share. That can also be written, of course, a pitch can be written into a report format, and that would be also a very short document. So you're looking at something like 500 to 750 words, where you are explaining to somebody what the problem is, and then you're identifying some sources that help to support your position, and then ultimately lead them to a call to action. So your pitch is going to be built on a compelling argument, and then you're going to support that argument with evidence, just like everything else that we've discussed in class, where you have some sort of idea, and then you support that with your position, and then you summarize at the end. It's similar to that. This entire thing, though, would be persuasive. And then also the difference between some of the other reports that you've done and this report is that it is going to be short, because you are looking at 500 to 750 words. And then you're looking, if you're doing a presentation, at 1 to 3 minutes. So kind of in summary, the goal of a pitch is it is a persuasive communication where you are sharing information with somebody else that you hope that they will take a specific action based on the information that you're providing. So for your assignment, you will identify a workplace issue that you want to know more about. This could be based in communication. It could be based in leadership. There's some different options that we'll talk about momentarily. But you will assign a topic that interests you, that's related to the workplace, and then you are going to write a report on that. So as you're going through this, and some of you have had jobs in an office, some have had jobs in maybe the service industry, or multiple different ways, or different places you might have had a job. You can maybe take some influence from that, but you can also take some inspiration from a few resources that I provided to you in the module for this week. There are 2 specific links within the module that can help you. One is a link to LinkedIn Learning, which used to be lynda.com. And so LinkedIn Learning will summarize for you like kind of how to do things. So it's a really good resource just in general. But in this specific case, you can learn more about how to do things, how to approach things, workplace issues, that sort of thing. So I provided a link to you for that. And then there's also some additional sources that you can click through and then identify some things that you might want to pick for your topic. So maybe to get you started about ideas of what we're discussing, are some of these workplace issues, like leadership styles, collaboration techniques, interviewing approaches, technological advances. There's a lot related to communication. I mean, what we're doing now, like with the entire companies and the entire university shifting to an online or telecommuting option for people. That's a workplace issue. So think about things that you might be interested in, and then that's what you'll write about. You really need to pick something that is interesting or important to you, because you will be having to sell this idea to your team. Because ultimately the goal of this project, as I mentioned, that this leads into your next project, but the goal of this project is trying to convince your team to use your idea for the next assignment that you will do. So if you have any questions about what constitutes as a workplace issue, if you have questions and you're unsure maybe about what to do for your assignment, feel free to reach out to me and I'm happy to help you with that. So whenever it comes time to write your pitch, remember that your ultimate goal is to convince your team members to accept your proposal and then explore that proposal through a survey. So as you are writing, keep in mind the things like they're your audience. So keep in mind things that might interest other people besides you. For instance, if you are very interested in working in a very narrow job market, like say that you really want to work in the shipping industry or something that's very specific, keep in mind that your other team members may not find that quite as interesting. So think about, instead of something that's very narrow, try to identify something that's going to be a little bit more broad and appeal to more people. But whenever you're writing, keep in mind that your audience is your team members and you're hoping that they want to explore your idea through a survey. So whenever you start your document, you need to lead with meaning, which means you have to introduce your idea in a memorable way. Any time that you've written from the time that you were probably a child, you were told that you need to introduce your writing with something that's catchy. And in this case, that's even more true, that you need to identify some way that you're going to like share maybe a fact, a statistic, or share an idea, or ask some sort of a reflective question. So you're introducing your idea in a memorable way, and then you're going to distill your idea into a clear and recognizable statement that explains to people what it is that you are pitching, what your idea is, and what you're trying to get them ultimately to care about. You're then going to identify your problem. So you're going to look for, within your problem, you're going to find a complex, nuanced issue that impacts the workplace. And so we just discussed like how you can find some of those ideas, but you're going to be looking at what's the root cause or what's the driver of the problem. Because ultimately, if you're trying to identify what a problem is and then, you know, have your team send out a survey for things that could potentially solve that problem, then you have to identify to your audience what the root is of that issue. And then just like everything else we've done in this class, you're going to use evidence to tell your story. So you will provide evidence that offers details about what you're discussing and then helps you additionally to establish your credibility. This is where you're going to bring in sources, where you can identify, you know, that a certain magazine or a certain research group has identified certain challenges, or they have information about your topic, and then you will share that with your audience. And then you'll end, almost as always, with a call to action to let the audience know what you want them to do, what the goal is of your project, like what it is that you're proposing. Like you've already explained all of that, so now you want the audience to do something with that information. And then lastly, you need to cite your sources. So you're going to identify at least 2 sources within your 500 to 750 word report. And you're going to need to make sure you cite those sources and any other sources that you include if you go beyond just the 2 sources. So your deliverable is going to be a report, and it needs to meet the following requirements. 1, it needs to be less than 750 words. I would say that it probably needs to be at least 500 up to 750. However, if you write a 400-word report that meets all of the requirements and you feel like you've really nailed it with 400 words, then that's fine. Remember to be concise and also be persuasive, which we'll be talking about some this upcoming week. And then we'll talk about persuasion actually this upcoming week, and then we'll talk about concision next week. You'll also include 2 secondary sources that you believe are useful in supporting your argument. So those are the 2 baseline requirements, but look back at the previous slide whenever you are trying to identify what you need to do. because to meet the requirements of the assignment and to really nail it and get all the information in there, you need to make sure that you're leading with meaning, you identify the problem, you use evidence, and then you end with a call to action. So it's not just the 500 to 750 words, it's not just the sources, it's also including those other things that I mentioned previously. Your draft is going to be due on April 12th, and then your final is going to be due on April 19th. We will do a peer review of your draft, so no need to worry about that. You will get some input from your classmates on your draft. And keep in mind, just kind of as a reminder, that this assignment is leading to the survey assignment. So, and you're going to pitch it to your team. So you're writing this report for me, but then ultimately you're going to share this information with your team, and hopefully they will take your idea and want to use it to find more information about your topic through a survey. So if you have any questions for me about this assignment, you can always send me a message. You can request a meeting with me through Zoom. And I'm also doing my weekly office hours from 5 to 6 on Zoom. And so I've provided a link for that to you in our Canvas section. So please reach out to me with any questions that you have, and good luck on the assignment.